So for situation's sake, I'm a mother and I'm at the park and I'm letting my child play. Another mother walks up to me and she asks me, which one's yours? And I say, oh, that's my child. And she says, oh, she's so cute. And I stop her and I say, oh, she actually doesn't identify with either gender. So she goes by pronouns of they. And the woman becomes kind of confused and she says, okay, well, that's kind of weird. And I responded back, what's kind of weird is that you want to know what's in my child's pants. That introduction, though weird, might explain a little bit about what a gendered body is. So throughout life, we grow up as a gender, right? You're a girl or you're a boy. And 1 out of 100 people actually are born with different either hormones or genitalia than their assigned biological sex. Some parents have to choose at birth what sex they want their baby to be. But a big thing that a lot of people don't realize is that sex and gender are different. Sex is biological. You are sex X, 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 Y, whatever. There actually are some differentiations, but that's a little too much biology for me. But pretty much that's your sex. So male, female, or you could say neither. And then there's your gender. So gender is something that's fluid. Gender is something that you can feel more on a scale and you can kind of decide who you are. So there are people who feel they don't fit their gender and they decide to transition to another gender. That is a trans individual. And there are a lot of different gender identities, and so this will delve a little bit deeper into that topic. So the first question I would pose is, what is a gendered body? So pretty much me. I'm a gendered body. The second I was born, I was told I was a girl, I was given girl things, I was told these are what girls do, and I did that. I grew long hair, I put on makeup, I wear feminine clothing, I like to work out so I can increase my curvy, feminine, socially constructed body, or what my body's supposed to look like, because I'm a girl, I'm a female. I identify as female as my gender. It's different. I also have my sex as female, and that's my gendered body. Men have it kind of the opposite way. They're given tools and blue and sports, and that becomes your gender identity. It determines a lot of things about you. It determines what you like to do, how you act, personality traits, hobbies. It determines a lot about you, and it can be extremely impressive when that is forced upon you and you're like, wait, that's not me. So a common, maybe more common example is a tomboy, right? She might get made fun of a little bit in school, but she can get down with the guys. She does not really conform to her gender identity. And that is okay. And it's something that can cause, especially for children, to get bullied, but even adults to be questioned. I'm sure you've been somewhere with your friends, or maybe it was you and you said, is that a girl or a boy? And I say, does it really matter? So the second question I would pose is, why is the gendered body oppressive? And first, before delving into people who get forced into genders that are not who they are, I'll delve into maybe a more simple example of being female. So getting forced into the female gender can lead to a lot of personality traits that can be oppressive. So simply being a woman, you're usually maybe more self-conscious. You're taught that you need to be skinny, put on makeup, laugh, cute, and there's a lot of things that you're supposed to be feminine, right? To conform to your femininity, to your gender. And that can be extremely oppressive, especially because maybe you like boy things and you like to get dirty and rough and you hate wearing makeup and you have a hard time conforming to your gender. I personally maybe am too self-conscious and conform completely, but I do enjoy it, and I still like to lift weights and get like really buff, which some people say that's not within my gender role. My grandmother, she was raised in the 1960s, so she she's like, you're supposed to be skinny and not buff. Why do you want all these muscles? And I'm like, I'm not conforming to my gender identity. I need to stop that. So that's kind of a simple way of gender identity being oppressive. There's a much deeper aspect to it. So for trans individuals, especially in childhood, being forced to conform to that identity, it can lead people to commit suicide, to have depression. It can be extremely detrimental, because imagine trying to be someone you're not in a full essence. Like, okay, you can go out and pretend you're somebody you're not for fun, but pretending you're somebody you're not for your entire life it's extremely difficult. So those are some examples of gendered bodies being oppressive. So earlier I mentioned kind of how you knowing someone's gender doesn't really matter. We in society, we like to get caught up with people and say, oh, are you a girl or are you a boy? And I like to say it doesn't matter. Okay? Gender isn't necessarily a choice, but there is a choice there. So you're born and you usually feel a certain way. You feel you're a boy, you're a girl, maybe you feel you're neither. You feel a way, and then you have choice within that range, because gender is a spectrum. In Native American cultures, they actually have different names for more masculine females or more feminine males, and it's something to be proud of, not something to be shamed upon. So that is why it is not important for you to know someone's gender. Another topic I'd love to discuss is how transgender individuals feel the oppression and the pressure of gender. So, of course, throughout their childhood, they're probably being forced in a direction, probably their biological sex, as their gender, and being trans, you feel usually the opposite. And you want to be male or female, depending on your gender, I guess. Yeah. So how is it oppressive? So not only is it oppressive when, coming out and saying, I want to be the opposite gender, that's extremely difficult. You'll face a lot of pushback. Trans individuals face the highest rates of police brutality, highest rates of rape, and a variety of other extremely awful things. But there's a new concept of passing, right? So you transition and you need to pass. So there's a level of acceptance everywhere, right? To be accepted as a woman, you should look and do things as a woman. To be accepted as a man, you should look and do things as a man. To be accepted as passing for a transgender individual, they need to completely pass. When someone looks at them, they need to be like, oh yeah, that's a girl, no doubt, right? And trans individuals who don't pass, maybe they can't afford hormone treatments, or they can't do it because they have only one kidney, or a variety of other things. They don't want to. They face more inequality just because they don't transition good enough. So that's another even deeper level of gender identity just messing with you. Gender is a social construct. What? People be like, what? No, you're born a boy, girl. No, gender is your gender. You're born it. It's socially constructed, and I'm going to tell you why. Firstly, what's the first thing you get when you're born? You get a color, and it's either pink or blue. And if you're lucky, your parents are feminists, and they give you yellow or purple. But you get a color, and that becomes your gender, and it becomes everything that's surrounded yourself. You're supposed to have girlfriends if you're a girl, and play with makeup, and you get dolls. And if you go into a Target and you look in the toys aisles for the boys and girls, you got those gendered stereotypes getting forced down your throat the second you are born. I went into a Target recently, and I just thought I'd peruse, and in the girls' toys aisles, there were little pink vacuums and brooms and dress-up and makeup and dolls that looked ridiculous in their proportions. And then I went to the boys' sections and I saw construction tools and puzzles and games and big buff, G.I. Joe-looking action figures and such things. So gender's for sure socially constructed, you can tell by advertising, stories, children's books. There's always the weak female and the strong man to save her. Advertisements, we see advertisements with women featuring being fit, being skinny, whereas for men it's more like be buff, be strong, be powerful. And gender is for sure taught to us. Gender is taught to us by our parents. It's taught to us by how we see people performing their gender. And that brings me to how gender is performative, right? So if you don't perform your gender, you're not doing gender right. So performing your gender is how it becomes your gender. And a lot of people think, oh, you're just born it. But really, you have to perform it. I have to get up, put on my makeup, put on my clothes. If I perform the opposite, I could be a different gender. In conclusion, I just want to kind of do a heart-to-heart and say that whatever gender you feel you are, it doesn't matter. What everyone thinks about you doesn't matter. I know it's hard. It's crazy, insanely difficult. Being trans is probably one of the hardest things, especially in our new political climate. But you can do it. You're strong. You're amazing. You're worth it. And I just wish everyone so much luck in life, and I hope that the gender you're performing is the gender you truly feel. And if it's not, start performing the gender you feel. It'll make you feel a lot better.